Today's plenary session saw harsh debates between leaders of the two main parties on issues such as the recent floods, EU integration and the government's links to drugs and crime. The International Monetary Fund has raised their concerns regarding public-private partnerships, the level of public debt and high youth unemployment in their latest report on the Albanian economy. The director of the Social Insurance Institution has announced an additional 3,000 lek to be paid to all pensioners as an end-of-year bonus. Good evening, it's 6 o'clock on Thursday, the 14th of December 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, bringing you the day's national top stories translated into English 6 days a week. Today's parliamentary session saw significant clashes between the two heads of the main political parties who shared harsh words with each other over the issue of the recent floods across the country. The Prime Minister said the floods were a result of improper construction, while accusing the Democrats by stressing that when they were in government, they stole all the state reserves while promising preparation for floods to the citizens. "You took everything. You took even the boots from the state reserves," said Edi Rama. Former Prime Minister Rama and Berisha responded to Rama, saying he has abandoned the citizens in order to focus his attention to defending criminal groups. The debate on crime brought on a collision in the Assembly, resulting in Assembly Speaker Gramos Rucci excluding the DP MP Flamurnoka from the session after he attempted to prevent the Prime Minister from giving a speech. "You protect crime while Balili blackmails you with videos," said Rama and Berisha. Prime Minister Edi Rama and former Prime Minister Rama and Berisha also debated on the issue of EU integration. "You throw mud on Albania when speaking with the internationals," declared Edi Rama. "If you want integration, you have to fight the criminal gangs you are so busy protecting," said Rama and Berisha. Former Prime Minister Rama and Berisha again brought up the issue of the businessman who was arrested some weeks ago in Elbasan. During a search of the man's vehicle, 800,000 euros in cash was found, alongside boat licences in the name of the former Minister of Interior, Saimir Tahiri. Berisha claims this is evidence enough of the Socialist Party's links with drug trafficking and crime, which would surely serve to prevent integration of Albania into the EU. From the Assembly podium, the Socialist MP, Erion Brace, has made public contracts signed by the Ministry of Agriculture and the family companies of Clement Balili in 2016, a time when the office was run by the SMI Minister, Edmond Panariti. According to the SP MP, the contracts have been signed at a time when Clement Balili was internationally wanted, while he said that 80% of leasing contracts for agricultural land have been arranged as political favours. The Ministry of Agriculture has signed contracts with Balili's family. They also gave him 20 hectares of land, said Erion Brace. Brace did not mention the former Minister Panariti, but it was the chairman of the Socialist Party's parliamentary group who said that Clement Balili is part of the socialist movement for integration. "The Balili's party must come and give clarification on this issue," said Erion Brace. Former Minister Panariti was in the hall when he was confronted with the charges, but he preferred to post his reaction on the social network site Facebook, stressing that the contracts are within the legal framework. "The contracts are made in accordance with the law, as per the decision by the Council of Ministers," said Edmond Panariti. The chairman of the Democratic Party's parliamentary group, Edmond Spaho, came out in defence of the SMI. "You name him, yet meanwhile you hide the real drug baron," said Edmond Spaho. The former prison director, Artur Zoto, has withdrawn the request to call the former Minister of Justice, Uli Magnani, to testify in court. During today's session, the court administered the prosecution's evidence, among which was the tendering practice of May 31, 2016, and records of environmental and telephone surveys. During the examination of the prosecution's evidence, the fact that during checks of the apartment of the former Vice Director of Prisons, Ilyas Labi, was an illegal weapon that was also found became public for the first time. Labi is currently under indictment for corruption and holding unauthorised weapons, but at the same time has also gained the status of a prosecutor's associate regarding the indictment of corruption. The prosecution of serious crimes claims that Zoto committed the criminal offence of passive corruption of senior state officials or elected local officials conducted in collaboration. Zoto denies all charges before him. Zoto is currently held after the court has repeatedly rejected requests to reduce security measures applied against him. According to the International Monetary Fund, the Albanian economy is facing a number of difficulties. The IMF has identified a number of problems and risks which the government was asked for special attention. Although the IMF did report economic growth in their fourth edition of the assessment of the Albanian economy, the public-private partnerships and the level of public debt were viewed with concern. IMF experts have asked the Ministry of Finance to utilise the legal space for monitoring PPP contracts in a better way. Staff recommended setting limits on contracts in order to be clearer about the risks they bring to the budget. The report states that the authorities should ensure the proper implementation of the framework for public-private partnerships in accordance with the best international practices. The IMF has repeated the requirement for fiscal consolidation and the reduction of public debt. It was also noted that the fight against corruption, the advancement of justice reforms and improvements to laws on property rights must continue to provide further stability to the economy. The report states that the improvement of the business climate is also of great importance. The IMF urges the government to continue with the fight against informality and to absorb more investments. It has also encouraged the creation of new policies to increase youth employment. Regarding the tax level, the IMF says the government needs to collect more revenue and therefore taxes should not be reduced and no preferential policies should be developed in regards to rates of taxation. The debate about marriage within the same gender has returned to the public arena. During the presentation of the report, Being an LGBTI Person in Eastern Europe, the PNUD and USA demanded that, through changes in the law, persons who manifest sexual orientation towards the same sex should not be excluded from the right to marry or adopt children. Pedagogue Mary Pawney brought to attention the rejection by politics to address this issue and appealed for change. Change to the family code to ensure this community has rights, said Mary Pawney. Similar views were shared by the UN Permanent Coordinator in Albania, Brian Williams, for whom there is no reason why LGBTI people should not be able to have a family. Williams also cited the report saying that 92% of surveyed citizens refuse to associate with people belonging to this community. There is no excuse for not having the right to create a family, said Brian Williams. The study conducted in 2016 showed that despite all the legal progress aimed at protecting against it, discrimination towards members of the LGBTI community is still a significant issue. The distribution of a bonus for pensioners for the end-of-year holidays will start from December 15th. The amount of the reward is 3,000 lek and will be distributed according to the calendar day that the pensioner usually receives their payment. Speaking at a joint conference held today, the Director of the Social Insurance Institution, Astrid Hado, and the Director of the Post, Laert Durai, assured retirees that all infrastructure and human resources are ready to launch this process. 650,000 people will benefit from the 3,000 lek bonus to be paid at the end of the year holidays from December 15th, said Astrid Hado. If, for some reason, a pensioner is unable to withdraw their pension in December, the opportunity will not be missed. The amount of the bonus can also be withdrawn with the pension throughout January. There will be no problems with the allocation, said Laert Durai. The fund the government has allocated specifically for the pensioners' rewards is around 2 billion lek, with the number of beneficiaries expected to reach about 650,000 people. The Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health, in alliance with 5 municipalities of the country, have begun a project on health education and nutrition in schools. The deal that will have a double impact has been signed today by the partnered institutions. The Minister of Education, Lindita Nicola, said that through this project, the burden of doing homework now falls on the schools and not on the parents. Parents will be relieved from the burden of doing their children's homework, said Lindita Nicola. Meanwhile, the Minister of Agriculture, Peleshi, underlined the importance of food safety. We will ensure healthy food is promoted to our children, said Nico Peleshi. Ogerta Manastirliu stated that the Ministry of Health will take care of the menus that will be consumed by children in schools. We will take care to ensure the quality of the food, said Ogerta Manastirliu. The project, Healthy Food in Schools, will be initially tested in 5 municipalities in Tirana, Corcha, Elbasan, Leja and Fier. That's all for our English edition this evening. My name is Alexandra. Please join me again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. On behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.